Good morning. It's a couple of days after surgery. I can speak somewhat, but my lip looks like I've had plastic surgery. Last night I had a very simple realization as I was talking to one of my best friends about women and relationships. We were talking about the usual, our experiences, what we've learned.
The train wrecks we had, what we learned from them, and
we'll never have those relationships again, and, going forward, this person, what we learned from them, and they're not compatible with us, and blah, 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 blah.
And when I was listening to him speak, I started to hear the language that I hear a lot of people talking. And he was talking about men and women predominantly, like David Attenborough, from the biological aspect, and, men and women this and that, and the government, like all these external factors. And I noticed myself talking more about the personal, what woman suits me, what I learnt, what she did to me, what was not fair, morals, ethics, yada, yada, yada. And it was at the point where he said, "Oh, human, you've got to read the book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus." I kind of shook my head as I realized this, and I said, one thing I've learnt, my friend, I've had these bad relationships. I've had good honeymoon periods where we're trying to make it work. It just all comes down to, is the person compatible with you? Rather than all this knowledge of trying to work out women in general, and then once we think we've mastered the average woman and the average man and the average relationship and how the cogs and the wheels work in that, then any relationship will work. We spend all our lives trying to appease and give everything to wildly incompatible women, not caring if they're particularly matched to us in personality. And then later we conclude it's because of an inherent fault in all women. That's why I can never find the right woman. And this goes for both men and women. We are just picking what we're attracted to physically, that first step that is just an impulse. And we blame it all on all men and all women. We read all this information, we study all this material, trying to work out each other as though we're all empty shells. But when we meet each other, all the friction is caused by discovering that we're not empty shells, but we refuse to admit it. We refuse to admit that the person you are trying to be with is not an empty shell. They are subjectively, specifically, and characteristically different as a person. I want to find the individual, quirky, weird person that fits me. Their upbringing, their ups and downs, their mistakes, the bad, the good experience, everything that's led them to here, where we click in a very individual way. So this Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, I realize that we're desperately and proud to figure out all this stuff, which is great as the base. Think of it as Maslow's pyramid of relationships. The base of men and women and nature is down there, but everything else is self-actualizing to the individual, the actual reason why you want to be with this specific person. I'm sure I'm not the only one where I stubbornly was just trying to be better, trying to work it out, trying to work out the puzzle, learn about women, know the lines, know what to say, know what not to say, and later on I just discovered, who cares? Just be you and another person who's willing to just be themselves, when the two of you can honestly meet and you can judge whether or not you get along. As pedestrian and unadvanced as it sounds, that's all it is. It's two compatible people, two open people matching and getting along. You can do what I did and what many guys do and continue to do and think that it's the solution, trying to work out all women and then trying to impose it onto some and then trying to analyze it and say, oh, it's because of her past. It's because she's been diagnosed with blah, blah, blah. But maybe, she's just not a match for you in personality. And I just refuse to accept it. Trying to figure out all men and all women, I think it just serves the current mode of hooking up. We're blindly hooking up as animals and getting endorphin rushes of fun and promiscuity. And that's fine if that's what you want to do, as long as you're conscious of it. But I think there's too many people that are enjoying the fun of that. And then later when they get hurt and they get betrayed, then all of a sudden they're trying to talk specifically about what this person did. And I'm saying, hang on a minute, I thought they weren't a specific person. They were just a man or they were just a woman, and it's just a relationship biologically. And this is the way it's supposed to work. So you shouldn't feel anything. Wasn't this a depersonalized approach? And another thing, focusing on men and women as just biological empty shells, it just depersonalizes the whole impulse of why you even want to be with someone, why you get excited about wanting to be with a person. We know that's not the reason why we're going out with particular Jane, Nancy, Sue, Mary, or whoever. It's because we want to see what they're like. We're not saying,
I am going out with female, her label is Jane.
and then later on to the guys on the comment section, we get all personal. It's like,
Oh my God, I've got to tell you what happened.
well, instead of talking to the guys like that, newsflash, why don't you talk to the date in front of you like you do in the comment section online when you let go and just show who you are and what your values are without being a troll or spurging out, but that kind of natural expressive you. Why don't you do that on a date instead of being this intellectual slab of rock that's analyzing men and women? And all of this men are from Mars, women are from Venus, read this book about how to looks max, read this book about how to be an alpha, be this chiseled cardboard cutout of a man, be this ultra feminine woman that will cook for her man and be the perfect feminine object that any man would like. But the reason why anyone would love you specifically is because of your individual qualities that match them. Compatibility. I've come to realize this more and more, and it's probably the only key that matters, is your individual compatibility with the other person. I do not care about men are from Mars, women are from Venus. When you make it about the particular person that's in front of you who just happens to have female traits and have female nature as a secondary, things get much easier. You want to go out with them. You don't want to go out with all women. Yes, I know some guys do, but you know what I mean. You want to have a relationship with this woman if you're so inclined to. Judge the person in front of you, not women. Most of the obsession past the base point of understanding yourself as a man, understanding women, and understanding that base interaction of how men and women can cooperate as very different members of the same species. Past that, it's all very individual. Who are you? Who am I? I like you. Why do I like you? Not biologically, not because I want to have kids, not because
You're an attractive female that can propagate the species and blah, blah, blah.
nonsense.
Absolute nonsense.
You do not want them specifically because of that. Otherwise, you would just pick anybody, and most people are doing it, but then afterwards their conversations suggest the fact that they're frustrated with that. So all of this knowledge is useful as the first few steps, but after that, if you're being real about your life and your personal values, everything is personal. It doesn't matter about men are from Mars and women are from Venus. Who gives a fuck? Really? Because let's face it, of course, if you don't care if there's a person inside, if they're just a body, then of course you don't trust them. Of course, what are you supposed to trust? A body that's just like every other body out there? And we know that every other body out there can't be really trusted until you get to know them. But if you don't care, I really don't know what the complaint is. Oh, human, women are all the same. With that attitude, I know they are, and they will be. Until you insist they aren't, and if they all show themselves to be all women, fine, at least you're on your own and you're happy. Do you get what I've been trying to say all this time? I noticed that I became increasingly lonely trying to hammer relationships with incompatible people because I thought I was clever in knowing more than anyone else about women. And it didn't matter one bit when I sat in front of a particular person that I refuse to see and listen to and judge whether or not they're for me. Whether or not we could genuinely laugh together, whether or not we could genuinely connect with morals and values and upbringing, whether or not what she says she was like matched up with observing her in life, how she acted, not just buying how she sold herself, but also observing. Those very personal interactions are all that's key. Because what happens when I just try to hammer a relationship out of anyone and said, anyone will do, because, I'm clever. And all women are the same. She is not a woman first. Insist on it when you talk to her. When you pick them from all of your scrolling, look for an individual who you might be able to get along with, who you might be able to converse with. And when you send a few messages and emails or you call or whatever before you go on a date, find out if there's someone home. Find out if it's more than just an empty shell. Find out if it's someone who wants to speak and expose who they are, who's finally, like you, I hope, looking for a person and not just a female or male shell. When I look at my past, I was trying to get a woman to love me. I was trying to get this good-looking person that I found attractive to love me, and there was always friction. There was always walking on eggshells. For me, compatibility is the absolute key. All else is just disappointment. That was the story of my life. All this other stuff about men are from Mars, women are from Venus, this is just screaming into space and not getting an answer. And you feel intelligent talking about this so-called scientific stuff. Let's talk about biology. Let's talk about nature. Let's analyze the studies and blah, blah, blah. And then when you meet the person, for all of our templates, when we get on a date, you have got to be there listening to a person, talking and trying to understand and judge and all of that. It's all very subjective and personal. And if you try and read off your script and be mechanical, you're going to come off as awkward. They're going to feel it. You're going to feel it. Listen to the way you're speaking. And if it's all men and women as objects, as biological entities, and why you actually love something in the romantic sense, and we're not talking about the bullshit romantic sense of unicorns and rainbows and stuff, but you feel good and you know why you feel good about this person. You know why they as a woman make you feel good as a man, and why she feels good, you as a man, making her feel good. And it's not mathematical, STEM-based biology that'll make you happy. That base understanding is useful, but everything after that is your own personal understanding, your honesty to acknowledge who's compatible and who's not with you. Yes, men and women as a general thing is useful to recognize that somebody else has needs too. It's not just about you, but then particularly why you're compatible is just about the individual. If I can give you one piece of information that has helped me immensely, judge her as a person, as an individual first, who just happens to be a woman, but all the focus is on the person in front of you. Focus on that. I realized I was trying to be too clever in thinking I knew her before I got to the date. I know about women, but all the stuff that matters is what I'm going to learn on the date and what I'm willing to expose to her and tell her who I am, whether she likes it or not. And if she doesn't, good. You're happy and you're on your own and you're available for the next person if you continue to date. So I encourage you guys to have more personal conversations and reflective ones about who you are. And not only will your discussions about relationships, men and women, what you want, what is not fair anymore, not only will it make more sense because it's more personal and it's just not trying to become a one size fits all, any woman will do once I figure out all women. Not only will it get better because it's more specific, you will start to trust them more because you'll trust them specifically. You will know why. Because we all know at the end of the day, we can't trust everyone. This ex of mine that I couldn't trust, I'm pretty sure another guy may have and maybe is trusting her at the moment, but I never could. And she hasn't probably really changed, but we weren't suited to each other. And I was just trying to be with a woman that I wanted to be with. Have a think about it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Catch you in the next video. Bye. What you like and who you like is the key. Personalize it, guys. Personalize it.